Hi there, my name's Chris, and I'm going to talk about all of those times when addresses don't actually work. So, a time addresses don't work are if you live in Rocinha, which is Brazil's busiest favela. So this is the Google map of Rocinha, which if you live there is fine. There's a few roads shown, but a bit of grey empty space. But the satellite view on Google suggests kind of a different picture. You've actually got quite a few people living there who are literally not on the map and have no way at all of describing where they live. Lots of countries in the world, though, you think, actually, they are really improving infrastructure in lots of ways. There's Dubai, but if anyone's actually spent much time in Dubai, you'll know that when you kind of have a pizza delivered, you have to say that you live in the fourth house on the left by the lamppost near the kind of sandy bit, and it then becomes sort of a sort of negotiation with you and the driver because Dubai haven't actually been round and named all of the streets in their country. Now, somewhere addresses should work well, or are supposed to work well, is in London, where I'm from, but there's a slight snag in that it's almost like too well designed because we have 14 roads all called Church Road. We've got 35 roads called Victoria Road. If anyone spent any time in Mexico City, there are 632 Juarez streets, which can cause even more confusion if you live there. When we're traveling around, this is difficult if your smartphone only has English characters, Roman characters as mine does, and it is awkward. Likewise, if anyone's been to Iceland, you could easily find yourself, if you follow your guide, going to Laugavegor instead of Laugavegor. There's a subtle R in the middle, if anyone isn't familiar with this story where the tourist did literally go several hours in the wrong direction because he didn't spot the R. So yeah, it's awkward. For us, we do business in Germany, and we do things like we go to Plinigerstrasse instead of Plinigerstrasse because we just haven't been around that particular town enough to know that there are two, and no, they're not anywhere near each other. So this is kind of a pain. And then thinking about how are we going to put addresses into things like Alexa, because if Alexa you say, can you please turn on my porch lights? Then Alexa replies to you saying, actually, you don't have a Porsche. And so with all of these kind of duplicated issues, as well as eroding your self-esteem, it's still not going to get you to the right place. If you want to go to somewhere like Harrods in London, well, this is great because Harrods is a place name. There's only one in London. Phenomenal. The address has kind of worked, except for it drops a pin in the middle of the building. But there's like 8 entrances to Harrods if anyone's been. And we should, in the year 2018, be able to specify which one we actually want. Good luck if you're the Airbnb host who has this as your listing. It's very difficult to explain. So yes, addresses don't work very well. Why do I care about addresses? For 2 reasons. One, I grew up in the English countryside. If you put my postcode in, as many delivery drivers do, this is what you see. It's a cow. It's not my house. And for years, we're sort of in the middle of the road doing this because people rely in the UK on the postcode, and it really bugged me. Secondly, I then went on to work in the music business for 10 years. I organized music for events, and what you may not know about the music business is everyone spends an awful lot of time getting lost. Musicians are absolutely particularly hopeless when it comes to just arriving at the right place and following instructions. And this became the bane of my life, just trying to get people to arrive in the right place. So I thought, we can actually fix this by using an ultra-technical solution. I'm going to get the whole of the music business to use latitude and longitude, right? Really straightforward. You just got to type in a bunch of digits into your phone, your GPS device, your car, and you're going to show up in the perfect place. Except for musicians are even worse at typing in latitude and longitude coordinates accurately than they were with addresses or anything else. And on one occasion, had a phone call from a piano player who said, Chris, please don't panic, but we may have just sound-checked at the wrong people's wedding. Because if you mix a 4 and a 5 up of the latitude, yes, you arrive an hour north of Rome, not an hour south of Rome, as happened that day. Incredibly stressful, and we then never used coordinates again. So I chatted this through with a friend of mine who's a mathematician and said, look, how can we compress these GPS coordinates into something much more human-friendly? So what we decided to do was to basically make a grid over the whole world of 3 meter by 3 meter squares. You've got 57 trillion 3 meter squares. And then we decided to name each square with 3 words from the dictionary. So you've got enough combinations of 3 words like table, chair, spoon, that you can name every single 3-meter square in the world without running out, if that makes sense. You with me? So what that means then is you have your grid, and you've got something like gazed across like, which is then the name of one of those squares. You've then got spruced toil fabricate, which is that tiny spot in the desert. You've got an entrance to that hotel in Morocco, which is really hard to find. And there are so many ways which this just makes life easier. For my musicians arriving at the stadium, well, now every single car parking entrance or bit round the back has got 3 words, and this is just way easier than using the GPS coordinates. So we've done this for every single 3-meter square in the world, and there is an app where you can find your 3 words. The app is called What 3 Words? And you can download it. You can find the 3 words that we've given to your front door, your back door, the bit next to the front door by the window. And these are fixed. You cannot change them. They are kind of set in stone forever because we've named everywhere. And we haven't just done this in English. We've done this in Finnish, in German, and lots of languages, 26 languages so far, and some others coming. And that's the whole world in each of those languages. So you can literally find your home and then choose whichever language you speak and find your 3 words. Also, this works totally offline. This is a mathematical algorithm. When you get the app, you have the whole world's 3 words sitting on your phone, and that means you can put it into a car, into any device. This is a totally non-internet reliant solution if you want it to be. So this is cool. We have this app called What 3 Words. We put it out there. Let's get everyone saying this. Let's get everyone saying like cauliflower, beetroot, sponge, and this is going to be the way we fix the world addresses. It turns out it's actually a little bit harder than that to get people doing a new thing. So as well as having our app, we want to get this built into all of the other apps and services and platforms in the world. So we did a few small deals to start with. This is an app called TripGo. We're built into Navme, which is the world's biggest offline navigation app, and some other things like this. We're built into a cycling app called Beeline, and lots of these cool things which make life a bit easier, but it's not really moving the needle as yet. So we decided to try and work with governments. Spoke with a whole bunch of people, and were slightly intrigued by our first offer to come and actually pitch to a government, which was in Mongolia, which was not the first place we had in the business plan. And so we went to Mongolia, and we were sort of toured around, and this is the what an inside of an average Mongolian home looks like. The problem for the Mongolian Postal Service is that this is what the outside of an average Mongolian home looks like, and they really, really struggle to actually understand what people mean when they write stuff on the envelopes. So we've now given everywhere in Mongolia, of course, 3 English words, but we were then told we have to do this in Mongolian, so we now have 3 Mongolian words. They are one of our 26 languages. And this is somewhat taken off there in Mongolia. So we did the deal with the Postal Service and moved on from there. And if you actually spend any time there, you'll now see in the cafes and restaurants, we've got signs in the windows. People are sort of very proud to advertise their 3-word address. When the Lonely Planet author went to Mongolia, she actually found the listings everywhere. So in the recently published Lonely Planet Guide to Mongolia, you'll see that the 3-word address is included for every single listing in the country. Thanks. Furthermore, we are now partnering with all sorts of global firms who are kind of captivated by what's happening there. This is something we've just done with Airbnb. If you want to go here, it's a cool 26-hour drive from Ulaanbaatar, so it's kind of worth bracing yourself. It's fairly remote, and the people who live here, which are the reindeer tribe, have no specific way of talking about where their home is because it kind of moves month to month. So we've just done a partnership with them. They actually SMS their 3-word address to their cousin in the local village who updates the Airbnb listing, and this is how you find them on the move. It's awesome and well worth a visit. But it's a great way to, I guess, bring to life the work we're now doing with Airbnb. So further than Mongolia, this has now kind of taken people's interest around the globe. Domino's Pizza are now using us because it turns out people want their pizza while it's still hot. They don't want their driver driving around struggling to find them, and we've even got these kind of cool stickers where they like hammer it home, you must use a 3-word address. This is in the Caribbean where they have particular issues. We're having 3-word addresses now used for music festivals because you've got like 200,000 people in a field with one postcode, and it's just a really good way of telling people exactly where your booth is. something we found a few months ago, that the first call had come into the emergency services. Hertfordshire is a county in the UK, and people had actually called up and said, there's an emergency, there's a fire in a field. Do you understand three-word addresses? The fire service said yes, so they gave it to them over the phone, and the fire service then went, put the fire out because it was in the field, and they had no other way of explaining it. So this has kind of spiraled a bit, this one case in the UK, and we now have about 12 police forces who are actively using What Three Words to describe locations in hard-to-find areas. This is what your police software now looks like in the UK. You can see the bit shaded in yellow where they now have a dedicated field if people call up with a three-word address, which is really awesome. Moving on from that, we're now coming into the world of mobility because everyone in mobility really wants to fix the address problem. Having to turn that clunky dial in the car to input your address letter by letter is kind of annoying. People want people to use voice. What's going to happen when the car becomes autonomous and it's just going to kind of stop and go, I've arrived, and you can't kind of do the last bit yourself. You need to be ultra precise, and it needs to be really simple. So we've now been built into TomTom software, so any car which uses the TomTom maps can now just drop What Three Words in. We are built into Cabify, which is the biggest ride-hailing app in Latin America, so that if you order a taxi through that, you can simply drop the three-word address straight into the destination bar, and it will populate some suggestions. You can just click on it, and it just means that this is now natively available in the Cabify app. You don't even have to come through our app, and this is what we want to propagate into every other mobility app that there is. People are doing other cool stuff with it, like in South Africa, the iStore, who deliver the iPhones and all of the Apple products, really struggle finding people's addresses. They've now put What Three Words on their checkout page, so that when you're putting in your normal address, you can add your three-word address so that the iStore definitely will find you. And we have a really nice checkout page widget, so anyone can drop in. And where we've really been enormously successful recently is with Mercedes. So Mercedes we met last year. And they saw the vision of exactly what we're doing with What Three Words and wanted to bring it into their cars. So now all of the Mercedes cars produced with the new navigation system has What Three Words installed as default. And they use us in lots of their promotional material. This is part of the German campaign. And this is a great way to, I guess, bring to life for them their new voice-enabled UX system. And I'll show you how it works right here.
Hey, Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Can we get a bit more
What
volume?
three words? Glass, keys, rooftop.
Select an entry, please.
Number 1.
The route is being calculated. Please follow the road for 700 meters.
And it's really that simple. You literally get in your car, you say, What Three Words, take me to Glass Keys Rooftop. The car understands you because it's got our tech built in, converts it to the latitude, longitude, and will just route you straight there. So that is now in all new Mercedes cars. If you drive a Mercedes, please go and try it. It works amazingly well, and we're now building this into several other OEMs at the moment that we're going to be launching over the next few months. So really, we're trying to make this a standard in the world of mobility. You should be able to hail a ride with it. You should be able to use it in your car. You should be able to use it for e-commerce. Anything you think about, we want you to be able to use a three-word address. People are now building really cool stuff for the voice assistants because you haven't got a menu on there. You need to get it right first time, every time. So people have built stuff where you can control where a drone goes. So if you think drone delivery is going to be a thing, well, where's it going to land? The front garden, the back garden, because an address is not good enough. People have built some amazing stuff where you can just speak a three-word address. This will then take that drone exactly to where you want to go. So we are working really hard to get three-word addresses out into the world. Some of our biggest fans are putting it on their shop windows. This is the HQ of Deutsche Bahn in Germany, some of our biggest supporters, so you know exactly where you can find them. So please, I'd encourage you, find your three-word address, put it on your business card, your contact page, and if you're in the world of mobility, maybe come and talk to us about how we can help you let your consumers enjoy this amazing world of precision and simplicity. So that's us. We're trying to make the world easier, more efficient, and a safer place, 3 words at a time. Thank you.